Congratulations, you have made it to university. Whether you got the results you wanted, you made it through clearing, or you're sat here refreshing your accommodation portal, you've done it. And now you're probably somewhere between this is going to be the best year of my life, or oh my god, I've got to move out and live with strangers. Before you buy half of IKEA, join 17 different fresher group chats and convince yourself that everybody has already made their friends before they've even arrived, then listen up. I've officially made it out the other side. I got my first class degree in chemistry with management, so I know a thing or two about how to start university. I'm not here just to tell you what to do. I've made templates, lists, etc. These will all be in the video, so fear not. We're going to turn the oh my god, I'm going to university into oh my gosh, we are going to university. Section 1 is before you go to university. There are many group chats. There are freshers group chats, course group chats, accommodation group chats. You do not need to join everything. My advice is, number 1, you will make a group chat when you meet the people in your accommodation. I only ever really knew my flat, which was 20 people. I didn't know people really in the accommodation block, bar 1 or 2 nights out. So I would recommend having a group chat when you actually move in for that. But in regards to, say, your course, or even freshers, those are really good chats to have, because when you begin to meet people through that week, you can put names to faces very easily and spark conversation after meeting them. Next part is freshers wristbands. This is quite controversial. A lot of people say it's not worth it because they are normally more expensive and you don't really want to go to all of the events anyway. However, as someone who would rather have the choice, I preferred getting the freshers wristband because it meant that I didn't have to worry about not being able to go to an event. For example, if I'd made a friend and they were going to something tomorrow, let's say I wanted to go with them, but it had sold out. Just because it's sold out doesn't mean you can't get in, but what it does mean is people are going to be selling those wristbands for a much higher price. I went to Bath, so a lot of clubs sell out really fast because there's a lot of students and not a lot of space. So I would advise speaking to people that have already been to your university or going onto some forums and seeing whether they thought it was worth it to get the wristband. Point 3, before your term at university starts, this is when you moved in. I would highly recommend walking around your university, whether it's a campus, whether it's a city-based university, and having an idea of where everything is. I don't know if it was just Bath. I thought I was good with direction. I've done D.A.V, so in my head I can use a map. I don't know who made the numbering system at Bath. It made no sense. Even till the day that I graduated, I struggled to get around some of these places on campus. But if you've got your timetable and your lecture halls, I would have a look to see where they are, so it makes that week far easier. And you'll find in freshers, there'll be quite a few days where you have a lot of time, and this is the perfect use of your time if you're not doing something already. Before I move on to the actual freshers itself, what I'm going to do is put up a little list here of things that I would advise packing. Also a to-do list of things to think about as you're moving in and when you've just moved in, because now we are going to cover Freshers Week itself. We need to address one of the biggest misconceptions about Freshers Week. It is not a deadline to find your friends. I technically didn't make a single friend from freshers. Before I put that statement out there, that is half a lie. I'll give you a very quick anecdote, because if my best friend is watching this, she will be so annoyed at me saying that. In Freshers Week, there was a massive mosh pit in this hall. And this girl came up to me, bear in mind it's pitch black, you can barely see each other. And this girl came up to me and she just said, "Oh my god, what sunbeds do you use?" And I remember saying to her, "I don't use sunbeds, I've just come back from Mykonos from a holiday with my mum." Honest to God, that's all we said, because by the time you knew it, we were thrown around in this mosh pit. And for some reason in the back of my head, I didn't even catch her name. I remembered her. And I remember telling my mum and dad about her and my flatmates. I don't know why, but I had this really weird feeling like we'd known each other. 3 months later, or it might have even been 4 months later, I get a message on Instagram. And she goes, "I've just seen you come up on my TikTok. Are you the girl I bumped into in Freshers?" Ever since that message, we became best friends. We even lived together in our final year of uni. I came back from a family holiday with her a couple weeks ago. She is one of my best friends in the world, like a sister. And I met her through Freshers Week, but not conventionally. I didn't think I'd made a friend through Freshers. I technically did 4 months after. And what I'm trying to say with that is you don't need to feel like you have to make friends all of a sudden. She was one of my closest friends and I met her in December. Also, if Harry's watching this, another very close friend, I met him in December of first year. Sasha again, I met her through my course. All of these people I met as I went along, nothing was immediate, nothing was certain. This is leading on to the next thing. Freshers flu is real. That's not a misconception. I still remember watching my lecture recordings back from the first few weeks of term, couldn't hear a word the lecturer said because all I could hear was everyone coughing from freshers flu. So pack the Lemsip, pack the paracetamol, just look after yourself. And again, that's why I was trying to go to bed earlier, because my immune system is a bit weaker. I've got no tonsils. I would get ill a bit more frequently than most. Hence, I knew if I didn't sleep, I would get ill even more because my immune system would drop. So be aware of your body, because I hate to break it to you, you're gonna get ill. So just be prepared. And on that time when you are ill, you're probably gonna get very homesick. On the topic of being ill, if your freshers isn't what you imagine, if it's not this incredible party that's plastered everywhere, then don't worry, because I wasn't really a fan of freshers. I have had so many nights that I preferred when it was spontaneous, when I was going out with friends or with people that I never met, when I was more comfortable. Freshers was great because it immersed you into that university bubble that you've never been in, but it's not amazing for everyone. Okay, the next thing is about when you're in university. You may hate me for saying this because this is going to go against almost everything you've been told. First year discount. Okay, your university might be like mine and the grade itself may not count and you just need to pass. But I'm laughing because I can remember this with so many people. I'm someone who has always tried in every exam, including mocks, exams when they don't count. And before you call me a tryhard or a nerd, which I also am, it isn't for the reason you think. If you treat that first year and mock exams like the real thing, you halve your revision. Because second year, third year, so on, you are building on your knowledge. Unless you're doing a course, which is rare, where you do one module and you forget about it, fine, ignore this advice. But if you're doing a course like mine, where you're constantly building upon knowledge, you need those foundations. And if you don't study in that first year, you will get to second year, you are going to have to relearn everything from your first year on top of new material. So one thing that I always tell people, including the girls on my study platform, please start from day one. I can do a whole separate video just on revision in university, but I would highly advise every time you have a lecture, every time you have coursework, do it as you go along. Do not let it build up. You're about to enter a world in which you're not stuck on a rigid timetable. You have a lot more free time than you think, but a lot more work to do. And a lot of people work in a very different way, and it might suit you, but they won't work until they have to. The issue at university is the workload is a lot higher than you probably think. Yes, there's less subjects than A-level and GCSE, but there's a lot of modules and there's a lot of content. Start early. You may look at people going out every single night and think, God, they're not working. Because again, as much as university is an amazing experience, you're paying a lot of money to be there. Also on the topic of grades, I'm laughing because I still remember opening my first university grade. I'm someone who would get 100%. Like for me, 90% was low on an exam. I've always been the person to try and get the highest grades possible. University humbled me. I still managed in final year to get my first 100%. It was only until final year in which I got my first 100% ever on a chemistry paper, which was organic chemistry, love that. But there were many exams in which I was pretty far off, and more so, it was actually management, which I found a lot easier than chemistry, that I got the lowest marks. When you have a subject that is subjective, oh my God, it is going to humble you. You can think that you've got like a 95% on an essay. I'm someone who got 100% on my English at GCSE. I'm a competent writer. That first economics paper that I wrote, I think I skimmed 67%. I was humbled. But if you gave that paper to someone else, they would mark it completely different. I don't know what these university lectures are on, but they're on something different. So do not tie your emotions to these grades. I remember asking one of my management lecturers how many people get above 76. And I remember them saying they don't give people above 80%. I was like, what's the point in having 100% if you don't give above 80? Again, I'm going to rant if I go into that. But do not tie your weight to the grade or the percent. Instead, what I want you to start doing is tying all of the weight to the feedback. I would have entire documents of feedback, and I didn't have AI back at university. And one thing that I would have used it for is every time you get any feedback, document it. Then I would start putting that into AI and getting AI to give you a list of things to improve on. Because the only way you're going to improve at university is listening to your lecturers. It's not like A-levels where you have examiners marking it. Your lecturers will make and mark these papers. Yes, they're peer reviewed, but the original mark will come from them. So you need to be pleasing your lecturers, knowing exactly what they want, what style they want, listen to them. On the topic of studying and revision, a lot of you are probably excited for the library. Now, I'm gonna give you two perspectives on this. The library is incredible for connecting with people. Great for your first year when you want to meet friends, study together. I say study, you're going to be doing very little work. The library, at least in Bath, was the least library-esque library ever. I'm someone who always preferred to study on my own, but I hated feeling lonely. That was one of the reasons I made That Girl, my study platform. I'll put all the information for my platform in the link below, because on That Girl, we have the at-home library, which is why I've got a lot of university students on there, because they will study from their dorm, from home. So all they're studying together. You're more productive, you feel more accountable, but you don't feel alone. And also we have all the communities and clubs on there, so you girls can help each other. And because we've got girls from year 2, 3, 4 of university, any freshers that have questions, you can ask our group of university girls. So if you do want a bit more help and you are feeling nervous about university, or you want people to study with, I would highly recommend joining That Girl, or at least doing the free trial. It's currently $4.99 a month as well, which is less than the price of a coffee. To recap, library is great for socializing. I'd advise studying either digitally on our at-home library or alone in your dorm if you actually want to get things done. Okay, the last bit of advice I'm going to give for starting university is probably the most boring but useful, and that is make a timetable. Use these first few months at university to understand what clubs are you doing? What is your new sleep schedule? When are you socializing most? What nights at clubs do you prefer going out on? For example, there's normally sports nights, or there could be specific society nights. Adjust to this new life at university, and I want you to keep tailoring a timetable. You'll probably do it online. I used to print off and do it by hand every single week. But use those first few months to optimize the best timetable for you. And I'm saying that because if I didn't have a timetable, I would really struggle with the lack of structure. My motivation comes from knowing what I've got to do. If you want advice on making timetables, watch this video here. This is where I tell you how I structure everything. But having organization for yourself will keep you motivated, because what you'll find is when you're self-led, it's going to go two ways. You're either going to start university and just want to socialize and hate work and you fall behind and then you really struggle, or you find balance. You're motivated to study because it's timetabled in. You're then also motivated to enjoy that time off and be with friends and socialize. Use those first few months to find the optimal timetable for you. Also do want to stress this. When you start going out more, if that's you, you are going to lose your sleep schedule. I was a part insomniac before university. When I started my first year, I got really bad. I've never really shared it online and I won't go into the depths of it, but I really suffered with insomnia. And part of that was because I really struggled with the noise in my shared accommodation. You need to prioritize your sleep. And if you're like me and you are struggling to sleep in this new environment, or noise is really distracting, find a solution as soon as you can. Don't let it get to the point where you actually have to come home because it gets that bad. Whether it's getting earplugs, whether it's speaking to your flatmates, do something that helps, because your sleep is so important. And sleep is the thing that you are going to forget about most when you start university. So do not let that go. Okay. I hope this has been a pretty comprehensive guide. If you want more videos like this, let me know, because there is probably a few more things I could share on university in general. But I hope this has given you a good introduction. I'm so proud of you for just getting into university. You're going to have an incredible time and you've got an amazing chapter ahead. If you need study, lifestyle, fitness, motivation, the whole shebang, that is what I'm here for, so keep following along. And if you want a space to study where you feel safe and you can ask people for advice, I would highly recommend That Girl. If not, and you're just here for this video, then I hope this has helped you. It's been lovely spending some time with you. If you've got to the end, then I would comment, prioritize your sleep. Right, I love you all. I'll see you soon. Oh, I really hope I haven't been out of focus this whole time.